In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
In case you somehow managed to miss our Duke Nukem inspired little intro ditty, this is another pointless automotive podcast. I am Frank.
Chadwick still?
Yep, still here.
Until I finish that surgery.
Yeah, well, you know, that's part of the deal. For some people, for you included. Speaking of, I don't know how do I segue out of that?
Carefully. You did mention Duke Nukem. That would be an audio component of our show.
It is. Let's shake it, baby.
You want to talk about automotive acoustics today?
We could. We can go our favorite sounds and acoustical treatments in the automotive world.
Because I'm still old school, man. I love a good sounding car, right? At the end of the day, I mean, you can look great, you can perform great, but I like that sound. It just, you've gotten in a slower car that sounds good, and it's like, it feels fast, right?
I've owned one of those, specifically the Pontiac Vibe GT, I think would fall into that category. It wasn't terribly fast, but it was fun to wind out because it made some decent noises, and it was not as it seemed from the outside.
Way more drama than actual performance, which is good.
Which still made it fun. And the audio component of that is, I don't want to say maybe, I mean, I'm sure for some people it's maybe the most important part of the deal.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Based upon how popular, I mean, think back to like 17, 18-year-old Chadwick, right? When you're thinking about whatever vehicle you have, what's the very first thing you're considering as far as like doing to that car?
Yeah, it's an exhaust. You're gonna put an
exhaust. Or even just like, I'm gonna put a cool muffler on it, and now it's gonna sound like a blah, 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 blah.
Well, that was back in the day, was an exhaust, right? Hey, I welded an eBay muffler on, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly, the homebrew catback situation. So whether it's exhaust or just, what engine sound good specifically, important stuff. I mean, there's a lot of money tied up into the aftermarket and other things purely based around the sound of a vehicle.
I always did exhaust so I could tell what RPM I was without looking at the tach.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Well, kind of, right? Because on a racetrack, when everything's really loud, it is nice to have a car making sound. Because sometimes you feel like if you're out there with a stock exhaust on a track day.
Yeah, sound and feel's a big deal.
Yeah, well, you can't hear your car. You're like, literally, am I driving? Is my car on?
Yeah,
right
you're
now?
trying to apex a turn, you're not just like eyeballs pinned on the tack.
Yeah, see?
It's like you're just, there's other stuff going on. So it's a point of feedback. It's a feedback loop.
But I mean, some cars not all cars are created equal in the sound department.
Fact.
So we'll just start this off with Lexus LFA, and then we'll say good evening. Thanks for stopping by, guys.
That's it. Yeah, I know when I'm driving my LFA.
That thing sounds so unreal, though. Have you heard one in the flesh, like rev out?
I have once. Dude wasn't bouncing it off the rev limiter. He probably only got halfway up the tach.
Yeah.
But even just that, it was leaving in sunny Black Hawk, California. There's the Auto Museum there, and they used to do a cars and coffee things, but we can't have nice things.
Got too big.
Yeah, too many NIMBYs in the neighborhood, and too many people deciding Mustangs wanting to try and saute over medians while leaving. I said cars and coffee. So that thing is done. But there was a guy showed up there in a this was years ago when they were still selling the LFA. Homie showed up in a brand new LFA, still had all the plastics on everything, and he came straight from the showroom and drove it there, and on his way out.
Same, leaving a cars and coffee, it's unbelievable the noise that makes. Yeah. I mean, it's like 520 horsepower, 550 horsepower, something up there. V10
I stopped counting. It got
revs to 9K. Mm-hmm. It's like
instantly it revs there.
Checking all the boxes. Yeah. I remember Top Gear reviewing it, and they were like, it needs a digital tach because an analog tach won't keep up with the speed at which that engine revs.
Yeah, and it's funny, like that was a cool. Yeah, and then it was just like, oh wow, they've got this digital tach, and now it's just like commonplace thing. But a V10 that revs to infinite, like an F1, a straight up F1 motor.
How many boxes does that car check? I would just. I mean, it's a Lexus on top of that, so.
Yeah, I'm team Toyota in general, so I'm partial to that car. But yeah, probably that might be a cake taker.
I think so. I think that's probably the number one contender. I mean, stock out of the box, as stock as you can call it, Lexus LFA, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other stock stuff that at least I've driven, and I know it's come up before, but the the Aston Martin, the DB7.
Oh, I was gonna say
that I got to spend some time with. I put like 1,100 miles on that thing. Awesome Aston Martin DB7 Vantage Volante 6-speed. So that's V12 convertible 6-speed manual.
The sounds match the looks. It's like
and with the top down, you get to hear every bit of it.
Sure.
And you're rowing your own, and so you're going 6 miles an hour, and it sounds great.
Oh yeah.
So that's definitely a good one. Like anytime we talk about the best of whatever's I've ever spent time with, GT3 4-liter 6-speed, the big angry 9,000 RPM flat 6.
Yeah,
is a pretty cool place to be.
Yeah, it's a very unique sound, right? Like you can really only find it in one place.
You know what makes your ears perk up?
What's that?
When VTEC kicks in, yo.
You put that on there, didn't you?
Not in that exact verbiage.
Oh, I was gonna say.
But like S2000, any high strung. Yeah, once you hit, you kind of hear the cam change, and it's like it makes sense.
It's like
and part of that is the oral experience.
True, and you can
not
hear
oral experience. That's different.
If you're getting oral experience at the same time, it really heightens the experience.
That does. Do not try this at home or on the road or on the chode. But when it kicks over in the VTEC, it's kind of a. I think that's half the reason why people fall in love with VTEC.
Did you come up with something good? Road chode?
Oh boy. I'm good would not be the qualifier that I would use.
Let me get that road
for
chode
such a thing. But no, like I genuinely think that half the reason why VTEC is so popular and has this aura about it is not the huge kick in the pants, because guess what? When VTEC kicks in, it's not as dramatic as turbo lag, and people complain about turbo lag. Nobody complains about VTEC. I think the reason why is you get that audible cam changeover.
Yeah.
And it just sounds so good, and there's drama, and you get to, it's like, oh, it keeps going, it's found a second wind.
Right.
And I think the noise factor, that has a huge component of it.
The Cord V6 manual is like that. When that thing hits like 4,000 RPM, it has like an induction noise in the interior, which I didn't expect. Like I did not expect to hear that.
Out of your Honda Accord?
That runs almost as fast as my NSX 0 to 60. I mean, shocking.
Yeah.
What a machine. Agree, VTEC is good. I have another honorable mention for a factory vehicle that sounds out of this world.
Okay.
Has a Ford badge.
Oh, are you going to show?
No.
Okay. That's a decent sounding V6. I'm not a big fan of V6 noises in general, but that one's pretty solid. It doesn't feel like it's going to shake itself
apart.
apart.
This one has a V8, but it's got a flat plane crank.
Okay, pull the voodoo doll out?
Yeah, GT350, baby. And it's kind of similar specage if you start looking at that next to the LFA, because you have 520 plus horsepower.
Yep.
Out of this time a V8 with a high red line. I think it's like north of 8,200.
And those things, off the top of my head.
Those things just sound gorgeous.
They do until the bottom end lets go. In which case it sounds.
Well, it's not your car, so it's like
painful.
that sounded great until you had to pay that bill.
Exactly. Yeah.
But what a great sounding engine. I mean, I think that's unique. You can hear that, like if you're in the canyons and someone has a GT350, you can hear that noise. It's just like it's such unique, just like you said with the 4.0.
Yeah, and even for a flat plane crank, my understanding is it does have a pretty unique firing order.
Yeah.
Even within like the world of flat plane crank stuff, it doesn't sound like a Ferrari, but it also doesn't sound like a Mustang. Like
does not sound like a Mustang.
It's its own
right?
deal. Yeah.
520 something horsepower to have a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 is pretty epic, right?
I've got a buddy of mine who has one of those. Vinny, if you're listening, shout out. And he just took it to his first track day.
Oh.
This past weekend. I haven't had an opportunity to bug him about it, figure out how it went.
I can't see how those things pass sound at like Laguna Seca, where they've got the little sound monitors at certain corners.
Yeah, or like I know they've got. I'm trying to remember the time. I think it's like is it 8 o'clock or something on the weekends. They've got the hard sound cap at Sonoma.
It'd just be weird to put those sound redirectors on a stock factory system on a car. That's kind of interesting. It might need it though, because
I've always wondered what if you got a car like that and tried to go like make it as quiet as possible. Like try not to lose too much performance. Maybe sacrifice a couple of ponies, but like if you had like that car, but like use just like full like Bentley treatment, and you try and make it as dead quiet as possible. Like
you could possibly, but that's like the love of that car.
Oh, it is. But I think it would just be funny to go like full. It's like there's like homie who lowers his like Jeep Wrangler,
right?
You know,
fair enough.
And put street slicks on it or something. It's like if you do that with that car, I think it'd be kind of hilarious.
There's always that guy,
the sleeper.
But a lot of people just feather off. They show you where the sound stations are, and you kind of just like let off a little bit, which is on an uphill at one of the ones that sucks there at that track anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Because you want to just like lean into it, but on something like that you can't. But it's a shame because it's a good sounding car. It's a good sounding motor. V8s. What do you?
V8s. I know you guys.
Do you think? Well, there is, but do you think V8 is probably, if you were to pick a single best sounding engine architecture, it's probably, I hate to say it because there's some, I really like inline sixes, I really like, 5s and 3s, I think those are interesting, but probably the undisputed king is the V8, right?
I just think V8 offers a wider range of engines. I mean, think of the smaller displacement, high revving ones, and you've got your big old lopey, like old school muscle car V8s.
Yeah, 5,000 RPM red
It's a dynamic range, and then you got twin turbo V8s for like supercars like the Senna. So it's like V8s are all over the place, right, for sound. So I'd have to say V8.
I think probably, and what's probably worse? I mean, there's so many bad examples of bad sounding V6s and inline 4s.
Oh boy.
Where I don't know which is probably V6. I mean, VQs are interesting. It's not really my cup of tea. Every once in a while I'll hear a good sounding VQ. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Inline sixes, I love the way inline sixes sound. But really almost it's weird, and bear with me, and I don't know why, but I feel like they sound better in the car when you're driving it than when you're outside the car and you hear one go by.
I think that's true because unless it has like an exhaust system that really like brings out the engine's performance, on the outside they really don't sound that crazy because it's just a smooth sound on the outside.
But when you're in it, it's so. I think maybe because those engines are so smooth, you hear and you feel the smoothness of it.
That's
when you're on the outside, you're not participatory in the smoothness. You just hear it go by, even if it's like exhaust and whatever. A lot of times it doesn't sound. It might sound angry, but it doesn't sound good. It doesn't as smooth as when you're behind the wheel. I don't know.
There's some. I actually put some like groupings in here. I put boxer rumble as a
I think the boxer sound, the Subi wobble.
Yeah, I mean unequal length head. Unequal length headers, right? And that that really good sound on an old WRX or STI. I still really enjoy that when it's done well. I think it's a very unique sound.
Yeah.
When it's not over the top, if you put a misfire kit
on it, blow off valve,
which is still awesome. I put that on my list too. God, it's good. But
do people NA tune, some of the Subi stuff anymore? I mean, not really. I mean, maybe on the new BRZs and
they don't have unequal length headers though.
They don't.
The old RSs, I've seen people throw exhaust on there and you get a NA rumble.
But I don't. I'm curious. There's like lots of people in the Honda world doing high horsepower NA builds and stuff like that. I don't think anyone ever does that with Subis.
Yeah, I think
there's the head gaskets.
Yeah, that was the NA engine. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, we got a Subaru, blow your head gasket," but it was mostly the NA cars.
Yeah, the turbo gaskets.
Like an old Legacy or something would blow its head gasket, not versus a WRX or STI.
Yeah, it's funny. So like when we first got 2001, 2002, 2003, when very first started getting the WRX here, stateside, it was that sound was so unique, and you would hear like it go by the Subaru wobble, and it'd be like a head turning event, and now it's like still kind of is, but like I find myself half doing it out of like disdain, like what trash pile Subaru am I gonna go turn around and look at?
Slam to the ground.
Yeah, vape cloud clad.
It's a shame. We could take it back though. We could take back.
Bring it back to just the stock bug eye with just
still love them.
Just exhaust and like some like
stage
white chain springs,
stage 2
access port. Back in my day. I'm trying to think of other good stock stuff that I've owned. The Audi S4 with the 4.2 V8 I had was pretty good.
Sound.
It was stock. So it was fairly quiet, but it sounded good.
The RS4 really spices that recipe up, man. That car sounds great, and that's another north of 8,000 redline V8.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's like 82
manual
or something like that.
Same
within the R8. Yeah, same motor in the R8.
That RS4 is a sleeper. I'm telling you, those prices are still way below where they should be right now.
Yeah, you can get, because everyone's afraid of them, but you can get a pretty decent one, I think, for like mid-30s.
Yeah,
This is
for
a hell of a lot of
Absolutely.
car.
I've seen them for low 30s
Yeah.
with still like a little bit of mileage, but you can also still land its contemporary counterpart, the LFA, the ISF. You can still get that for around the same price. Both of those,
that's a good sounding car.
Both of those are knockout, like great V8 cars. I mean, auto only in the Lexus, but you do
Sure.
get Toyota reliability versus Audi questionable reliability with the RS4.
For sure.
But damn good cars for the 30K range.
Yeah, they are, and there's some stuff with the Audis, little things falling apart. But the good news is a lot of that stuff, like, oh no, I lost another window regulator. You can just, that stuff. It's just like A4 stuff, A4
Sure.
parts. So like you can get parts for them. But yeah, that's a good sounding one. Have you ever spent some time like modifying exhaust? I'm sure you did on your Legacy, right?
Oh, a lot. I've definitely modified a lot of exhausts in my day. Yeah.
Have you done one where like you were unhappy with the results? Like you modified and I kind of wish I did something different or left it stock.
Yeah, I do so much research before I consider doing something like that. With my Legacy, I just put like a pretty good. The downpipe really changed a lot of the sound.
Sure.
So I did a lot of research, got the right downpipe, a decent exhaust system. I don't like super loud exhausts. Myself, it just sometimes it's too overpowering, and I don't like straight pipes.
Especially if you do freeway driving and you're just sitting there droning.
Yeah. Cool. I like that. I like that exact tone the entire trip, right?
Yeah. 7-hour drive.
Oh boy. No, I pretty much for the most part, but back in the day, it was always really risky with Hondas, right? Like I had that D15B VTEC engine in my little EG hatch, and boy, it came with like a straight pipe fart can combo, and it really sounded like angry bees. Yeah, it was like bzzz, when you really got the revs up, and it loved to rev. So that was like the only time I swapped it out with like a nice, like muffled kind of deep sounding exhaust, but. Yeah, you can make a lot of mistakes in the exhaust department for sure.
Yes.
What's the have you messed something up before? You put a fart can on an old heavy powered.
No, I thought about it though. Like, dude, what is it like? Old school, like you have the pea shooter inner with like the huge outer can.
Oh my god! And you can put the silencer in with the little screw.
Exactly. Yes. Thought about doing that, or thought about like what if we did like dual like motorcycle super traps off the back of my Barracuda. So when I got my Barracuda, so my first car, we'll just go back to. Back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. And I had my 65 Plymouth Barracuda.
Yep.
So when I bought it, it had a 3.8, like an early 70s 318 in it. Yeah, pretty 200-ish horsepower motor. It was decent. The car's not that heavy.
Reliable.
And it had, very reliable. And it had just somebody just threw in some quote unquote custom dual exhaust straight back. So that car factory was a 273 V8, and those cars were only available with single exhaust. So you'd have two pipes that would come into a Y pipe right behind the engine, and then there was a notch in the cross member on the passenger side of the transmission cross member, where it would pass under, and then it would go to the back of the car and would exit at a single pipe. Even the highest spec that you can get, which was the Formula S, you got the 235 horsepower, hopped up 273, 10.5 to 1 compression, lumpy cam, all of that. Those, it was a single, but it was a factory muffler delete.
Okay.
And then it had literally like a 14-inch long, calm down, 14-inch long resonator exhaust tip combo.
Okay.
So the exhaust tip had a resonator built in with a large square single exhaust tip.
That's freaking.
And if you go back and look at like some of the reviews back in the day, they're like, this car has the craziest, most aggressive, best sounding exhaust.
How about
in
that?
the industry? And like nobody knows about it. It's not the thing. But that was like the selling point of this car. Like, hey, it's right there with like the high spec Hypo Mustang as far as performance, but damn it, this thing sounds really good. But when I got it, mine had somebody just put, it was maybe 2-inch exhaust, it was maybe a little bit less, maybe 1 7/8, I don't know. It was just rusty individual dual pipes coming off these manifolds, straight back, no crossover, with like 18-inch glass packs welded in. No crossover or anything. And of course, because it was one of the exhaust, the passenger side went underneath that cutout in the cross member, the other one didn't. So at some point, they just like ran it under the cross member.
Oh boy.
which okay, except once upon a time or 2 or 10 times, they bottomed it out, and it was literally just flat. It was squished flat underneath the exhaust. So it was flowing, but it was like, you know, it was like 1 inch by like 4 inch or whatever was like the opening.
It's a good.
So it went back. It is. Joe talk again. So we did the when you would drive it, like it was like the typical glass pack, like. You keep it in gear and you come off, you come to a stop and go, like burble tune before burble tune, like hot rod burble tune. And then I eventually, when I put my 340 in it, which is, you know, 7,000 plus RPM.
Yeah, nice power plant.
300 and whatever horsepower. This one was hopped up, it's probably close to 400 horse. And I did 2.5 inch exhaust with an H-pipe crossover and then turn downs just pointing straight at earth.
Yep.
Over like old like the glass pack filled like Magnaflow mufflers, like the full body Magnaflows, and then turned down right ahead of the axle.
Isn't that really global warming at that point because you're warming the globe?
Exactly.
Like literally warming.
Exactly. Keeping Mother Earth warm in a blanket of hydrocarbons. But the and then it sounded good. It was like really rumbly, like resonate. It wasn't super loud because it turns down, so it wasn't like straight like Japanese Bosozoku exhaust and like pointing at the sky. But that was good, and it was very different than the pea shooters, the twin pea shooters with glass packs with no crossover.
Yeah, you can roll the dice on an exhaust. Sometimes you don't know how it's going to sound. I try to do as much research. Back in the day, you could. Yes. You know, there was no YouTube or anything to listen.
Yeah, you get your newest edition of Sport Compact Car.
Yeah, you like
your Summit catalog. And like,
hold the magazine close to your ear. Mm-hmm. Another stock car that I do want to touch upon.
Yeah.
And it sounds good because it doesn't have a muffler.
You going Fiat 500?
Yeah, baby, a Bart. That thing sounds so cool, so wild, out of the box. Yeah. Just the way it pops, everything else. Cool. What a cool little car, man. I really like those. I need to do a review of one soon. But I really
have one.
Well, I got it. I know a guy.
You know a guy who knows a guy? Get you a guy.
Yeah, he's he owns a Magnum SRT8 that I might have had for a little while.
Yes.
But something about that car it's like the perfect, it matches the personality. It's this loud Italian hot hatch, and it just has all the right popples, the right burbles. It's not too... it's
popples.
Like popples, big. Remember those popple toy? No.
I thought those were weebles.
No, I think it's popples.
They don't fall down.
But popples you could turn inside out.
Okay. I see where we're going.
They had the sports ones, man. I had the football one. It's cool.
Oh, and then like, what was it when it wasn't a football?
They're like it's like a little animal, like a little creature.
But what was the creature? Was it like some John Madden like stuffed plush?
I thought you were gonna say like John Carpenter kind of monster. Yeah, that would have been a sweet freaking combination.
Exactly. Then it turns into a football.
It's a plush football that turns into a goddamn creature from the thing.
Exactly.
No, seriously.
Sorry, popples.
Yeah, so the right amount, not too loud, and just it matches the personality. What a fun little car. It just makes sense in that application.
You know what's funny is what kind of, and it was something. I mean, they're under the same ownership group, not now known as Stellantis. But do you remember the Neo Dart? Like when the Dart came back, they had like not a performance version, but you get like the 2.4 Tiger Shark or multi-air or whatever.
1.4 multi-air.
Yeah, but it basically had that same like you get the sport exhaust and be this funny little car that had this like super pop like burble tune, not quite burble tune, but just like snap crackle pop edition exhaust, where it's just pure resonators, but it's coming out of this like slow Dart.
I thought the Dart looked good. Remember they had Travis Pastrana? Travis Pastrana was doing the ads for that car, and he was like doing it on like rally courses and stuff. And when you actually found out what the Dart was, you were like, this doesn't make any sense. That car never had enough power. It weighed more than the Abarth.
That car had a serious identity crisis.
And some build quality issues, which is
unforeseen.
Totally new to Fiat products.
Exactly. But yeah, what an interesting car. I don't know. I feel like those all went like rental fleet and then like buy here, pay here, used car dealerships, and they all got like never maintained, and then they were unreliable to be
for the Darts.
They don't exist.
Yes.
Yeah, the Darts.
Yeah, for sure. The Fiat Abarths got pretty low. Now they're being recognized as a cool car, enthusiast car.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Darts, you can get those for nothing. And there's something to be said about landing a Dart for like $2,000.
I know, right? Exactly.
Even if it has a Tiger Shark.
Yeah, there's like a pound of shake between the seats. And
it's like horrible,
dude. All kinds of glass smokeware, and I don't mean like cannabis. I mean like straight up like
it's just
meth pipes.
Yeah,
strewn about the interior. Do you remember
Not you.
back in the early days of searching, like watching car video stuff on the internet? Some of the best ones were like, dude, check, you gotta hear this exhaust on this whatever. And it would just be like videos of like exhaust, like straight pipe exhaust or whatever on cars.
It's still there, man.
So there's two.
It's definitely still there.
It's definitely still there. But a lot of the ones that like stick in my head, I remember from like 10 plus years ago, like early YouTube days, being like, oh wow.
Like a tripod looking right down the exhaust. Guy goes around in his flip-flops. Door opens, door slams shut.
Clunk, clunk. And you hear the window like rattle around in the door because the weather strip's all blown out.
Yeah, cold start.
But and half of them are just garbage. Like I modified my exhaust, and they just like hack the muffler off and like put like a U-band coffee can in its place.
Well, they're using like a Kodak digital camera with a built-in microphone, so it's like it doesn't.
Yeah, and it's an inch off. Yeah, it's an inch off the exhaust, so you just hear like, and it just sounds like disaster.
Exactly. It's so cool.
But so there were two that specifically I remember. One was like a black Countach with some, I don't remember what, it was like an LP 5000 or whatever, but it was 5000S, whatever it was. But they had some, I don't know, some exotic German like exhaust system on it, and it was, and it would just revving to the moon, and it just sounded ridiculous. I'm sure if I went back and found it now, it'd be like all pixely and terrible because it's from like 2010 or something.
Oh yeah.
But do you remember there was a guy who went to Japan with like a W140 S class, like an S600 with the V12, and I think it was like went pseudo viral like however many years ago. But he found some like artisan in Japan who like handmade these like equal length headers for those V12s.
Man.
And it was free. He paid like $10,000 or something for this set of headers and exhaust. And he was just like driving around these like mountain roads in Japan and going through tunnels, and it just sounded like a straight up F1 car. It was like this stock looking S-Class sedan, but just absolute F1 car sounds coming out of it.
That's freaking awesome.
And yeah, like those were like some of the early internet video days of like, look at this cool car video, and it was just like that.
Well, if you had a really serious production, you had someone stand there with the camera, usually your significant other, while you did drive-bys, except it showed the turnaround and everything, and there's other traffic going by. Like,
yeah, exactly. There's some guy like, wait, okay, go, and then coming down the street. Yep. Yes.
Good times.
Yes. So,
but yeah, I also had, like, I know we talked about Boxer Rumble,
yes,
and we talked about Turbo Blow Off. I put supercharger whine in there.
Yeah.
There's something about, like, I like it when it's a nice throaty V8, you can hear the whine mixed with the throaty V8. I think that's a great combination. It doesn't get old.
You ever drive any of those, like, supercharged Mini Cooper S's?
Yes.
Like the John Cooper Works ones? Those sound so cool.
You've got
this little car.
You put an underdrive Foley on it, and it ups the power so much in those things.
And ups the whininess. Yeah. I've never spent time in it, but I would love to. It would be a first gen supercharged MR2 with an underdrive pulley on it.
God, I passed on so many of those when they were like 6 to 7K.
Yeah, now they're like 26 to 27K for like a beater.
I just wouldn't want to work on it. Like one look inside that engine bay.
Yeah.
Engine bay.
But I imagine that same 4-cylinder with a supercharged whine coming from behind your head.
Pretty damn awesome.
That's a good place to be.
Hell yeah.
Superchargers. Okay, Automotive. Would you rather listen to all day a high quality sounding engine with a turbo on it, and so you get the turbo spool and the blow off valve, or would you rather the same situation but you get to hear the supercharger?
Turbo.
Why not?
Turbo, my man.
I almost think I would want the supercharger one. I want the
or when you don't get the full boost and you get the partial like wastegate flutter.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not talking like a factory turbo where you don't hear the drama.
No,
I
get
it. Like an aftermarket modified.
I get it. Danger 2 manifold edition.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think I would rather go supercharger one. I think a little bit more unique.
Well, to be
fair, it's kind of always there. You know, I don't know. That's a tough one.
My buddy had a Hellcat Charger. Yeah, he had a Hellcat Charger, which is already obscene, and he did all the upgrades to add demon components like fuel system and everything. So he was pushing around 800,
Boy.
The sound of that supercharger though, with the underdrive kit and everything, just
So maybe that's it. Maybe
we need to own supercharged vehicles. I'm gonna go. And my first entry is gonna be a Bonneville SSEI. That's gonna be the problem.
I happen to know a guy who knows a guy. I'll keep you posted, my friend.
Yeah.
I will keep you posted, Mon Frere.
Don't tease it till you can please it, baby.
What about displeasing? What about what sounds in the automotive world and engine sounds? What are ones that don't sound particularly great, that are not pleasing?
How about this one? You got a dually, you got another big pickup, and you slap on one of those giant 8-inch exhausts on there.
And it's full smokestack. You're pointing at the sky.
No, just the big addition, like aftermarket muffler kind of
feed
exhaust.
a soccer ball into it with these.
Which sounds just like
yeah
on the highway parking lot.
Do you remember as a kid? Do you remember such thing as a bongo bat? Do you remember the bongo bat?
Is that the one that made the weird noise when you hit?
Yeah, it was a bat, but it was like super wide, and it was like
hollowed.
It was like neon translucent green, hollow.
Hollow too.
Yeah. Boom.
It made a cool noise.
Yeah, it's like basically that exhaust is like the bongo bat of the automotive world. It's like if you hit, it's just like imagine like you go to a major league game and you hear that crack of a wooden bat and it sounds good and it's unique, and then you're bink, with like a nice aluminum bat, and then you're gong. That's what that is. It's the
It's just the same. It just sounds horrible.
when you're on the freeway at like 1200 RPM.
That's got to be so old when you're driving a truck like that. It's just.
Yeah, that's up there with like the Carolina Squat as like a terrible truck.
I put that though. I put trucks with turd exhausts. You know, I think some trucks can sound cool with an exhaust. It's like especially a modified or like an old Lightning with an exhaust and a loud supercharger whine. I think that's cool. But just if you have your regular Silverado and you put a turd exhaust on it and you're just running around going
right,
it's just like it has no like character, no dynamic range.
Have you ever heard driven anything that's got exhaust that's newer? That has like the cylinder deactivation. I
have driven the 5.7s that have that. It's not pleasing. Well, the 5.7 doesn't sound great out of the factory in the older ones either.
Right, but I've heard like a newer Ford truck, like an F-150, and then same with like a Charger with the 5.7, where once you're at the idle, not only do you get that drone, it turns into this awkward like cylinder deactivated 4-cylinder drone. You hear it think like. Rah, rah, it sounds like some like a Pornhub category noise. It's just not good. It's just this choking.
It's bad. It's
sound.
bad. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't understand. That one either. You're familiar with the venerable 22RE, the 22R twin engine.
Yeah, very, very. I mean, that's like the cornerstone of reliable engines, right?
It's kind of it's in the pantheon of
strong,
of just famously reliable engines.
They stuck it in everything: trucks, cars.
You ever try and underload, push one of those beyond 5,000 RPM for any significant period of time?
Why would anyone do that in their right mind?
Or you're driving something very slow and you're trying to go up something very
doing a hill climb. Yeah.
Or even just like trying to get up Highway 80 when you got a bunch of junk in your trunk.
It's like the emphasis of what an engine sounds like when it's struggling.
Yes. It's like gasping for air, and it's just like RPMs are low, but you can almost feel the piston speed because of a long stroke, and it's just like, oh no.
Or my valves sweating.
So sorry. You're just like spending as much time on the road as you're looking at the temp gauge, like you're just like at like 4,500 RPM.
Right, the tach and temp are going parallel to each other.
It's like trying to like drive to a Beano or something dumb. And you're going 50 miles an hour in third or something, just like, oh god.
Yeah, it wasn't famous for that.
That is a great engine, not a great sounding engine. It's a truck engine, but like if you have to push one, those do not. They don't want to be wrung out, and it lets you know about it. It just doesn't. It does not sound particularly.
But it survives.
Oh, it would survive, and it does, and it
it'll survive.
But it doesn't sound great. What you ever run into a bad sounding V8?
I got a bad sounding V6. You already mentioned it, kind of.
What's that one?
VQ, baby.
Okay.
There's just something about the engine, the characteristics of that engine. I think it's a great engine.
Sure.
But boy, everybody that gets one of those, remember back in the day, you just throw an exhaust, like an obnoxiously loud 350Z.
Right, and all you do is
start it and rev the piss out of it.
Right, and then you just cruise around through the parking garage at the mall in first gear.
It's so loud.
Yeah,
and
I
it
can't do a
sounds
good
like,
EQ impression.
It sounds, but it sounds a little better on the outside. On the inside, it sounds horrible. I don't know what it is. If you've ever sat in, like, driven a 350Z with a modified exhaust, there's something about the way it resonates in the cockpit that I just can't stand.
Yeah, and it's.
But you drive like that, and it's low
Every
gear.
once in a while, you'll hear one and be like, "Hey, that actually sounds pretty good." But I don't know what the science is to do that. Like, I'm sure it's not cheap or easy because there's so many ones out there that don't sound good. And
yeah, like the Stillman had a good exhaust for him back in the day, and then there's plenty of eBay specials because the cars are dirt cheap.
XS Power or like some other.
The welds look like someone freaking did it in a pitch black room.
X or like some. Yeah, exactly. Like Welds or JB edition, painted silver.
The Blind Welding Academy did it.
Yeah, exactly. It's, shout out to our blind welding listeners.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard. You ever spend any time in a carved Chevy 305 in like an F-body Camaro or Firebird?
I've heard a straight piped one.
Okay. They're not great because they're not. The cam profile isn't there for like. It's there to make torque.
Sure.
But they don't make a ton of power and they don't rev high, and the exhaust setup on those is super wonky because of the way the floor pan is. It becomes like a single that like wraps like around like the middle of the floor in the transmission. It's weird, and then it comes out to a single muffler out the back with like one or two exits. It's a weird setup.
Yeah, when you straight pipe that or just dump the exhaust, it's so loud.
Yeah,
like it's like not cool loud. Yeah, like cold starts are not cool.
Yeah, but if you're like an older car with like an 84, 305 equipped automatic, they just garbage. I feel like 60% of them have like some gross exhaust leak.
Oh, they do anyway. Yeah, for the factory.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned this before too. One honorable mention in the one. It's a shame because it's a brilliant engine. I don't like the way the S54 BMW.
Why not?
Sound.
I like it. It's
the raspy, too rattly and raspy for me.
It's
like,
supposed to though. That's what they do with those engines.
Oh, I always thought the S52 sounded better. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like intake manifold, exhaust manifold.
Well, the S52 never sees those revs, See,
it doesn't.
What would an S52 sound like at 8,000? No one knows.
True. Well, somebody knows, but only they only get to hear it once.
Yeah, before they spin a bearing right now.
Yeah, they go to grab fifth and they. From the top of fourth and they grab third, and then they get to hear it real quick. But I don't know. They sound too. I don't know. They sound too rattly and raspy for me, and maybe I'm.
I love that sound. To me, it kind of reminds me of back in the day, like if you had a 4G63 or something, and you put an external wastegate and a bigger turbo, and when you hit that full boost, it makes that kind of metal tearing noise. You know the sound of an
I don't like the metal tearing noise.
I like it because it's like, it doesn't give a shit. It's like, I'm just making power today, folks. Look out.
Exactly. Goodbye, Barry.
It's kind of a cool sound. Yeah, you're like, am I breaking something? Probably. Let's go.
What about non-engine noises out of the automotive world? Like, you ever go drive something? Like, somebody's like, there's something wrong. Can you take it around the corner? Something's not right. And you like step on the brake pedal and stuff. You get the metal on metal.
Yeah, the sound.
Yeah, there are no pads left. It's just shoes on rotor.
Yeah, like I did on the Accord. I put the new brake hardware was too big for the car, but it looked like it matched perfectly. But it was dragging on the rotor. It's hilarious how like a little piece of tin or steel on your brakes makes the most annoying and loudest sound.
It's just like
hear it, and everybody's looking at you like this guy.
Right? Yeah. Or like when you've got a belt loose and you just like, I just gotta get home.
When you start.
Yeah, or even just like leaving from an intersection, just you get the belt screaming. Like, look, there's nothing to do about it right now.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
For all my modern Ford fans, how about the sound when your blend doors fail and like the Fiesta? They started. It sounds like engine knock.
Yeah, blend door failure or power steering pump on its way out. It's like puking on your driveway. Like the parts on order, guys.
Those are good sounds, man.
No, they're not good sounds. Those are ungood sounds.
No, those are classic.
That's good old fashioned crunch, like bad synchros.
Link. When you force in the third.
Or you hit the starter one too many times when it's running. It's like, not good.
Yeah, those are bad sounds. Not as bad as knock though. I'll say knocking, like something knocking is probably the scariest sound.
That's pretty bad.
You're like, oh, is this just lift or tick? Jug, 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 jug. You know,
It sounds okay, and then you give it some throttle right when you let off, so it comes off RPM. Like that fluttering bottom end noise.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of bad noises out there.
That's bottom end. It's not happy.
Yeah.
Lifter tick my butt. Not good noises. Or what about just like somebody driving down the street with like stock blown speakers and they're just cranking the volume and it's just
God.
It just sounds like pain. Just treble and pain.
You know what I can't stand is like the brake, the warning indicator strip that's on brake pads.
Yeah.
Because everybody's low on brakes and you're in stop and go traffic. You have to hear the same, like over and over again, and you're like, oh my God, is it me?
Yeah, and it's hot, and you're driving one of your hoopties that doesn't have air conditioning, so
right.
It goes down, and they're just right next to you, going like stop and go traffic for like 15 miles.
So anybody else like that? Like you come to a stop, and like if there's a car next to you with like a loose belt or something, you're like, oh my God, is it me? Am I that guy?
You know what? Actually, this is one that really drives me up a wall. When you're driving around a car and there's a random rattle in it. And you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And you're just driving it.
You're pushing panels down.
You're like leaning on parts of the dash and like holding onto your like clamshell around your steering wheel or like your visor clip, and you're just like, what is this noise?
I've tried.
And then you think you got it pinned, and you're like holding something. You're like, oh, it's gone. And then it comes back, and you're like,
you're running out.
It's like somewhere else. Yeah, exactly.
I've tracked those down before. You know what sucks is oftentimes it's like under your dash. It's like your, it'll be like a vent or something from your AC system or HVAC unit that connects, but it's under the thing, so it's vibrating freely underneath.
Yeah, you go pull your whole dash apart, and then you put it all back together, and you have 2 extra screws, and you're like, oh no.
That's why I
just created a new rattle elsewhere, trying to cure the old one.
You look around when you buy a new car or an old car that's new to you. You look for like those pieces of cardboard wedged in plastic parts, like behind the windshield.
So if you go out to my little Peter Civic right now, I literally have one of my business cards.
Breaks in.
One of my business. So between where the bottom of the A-pillar trim comes in and goes under the dashboard.
You have some cards
on the passenger side. I took one business card and I jammed it in there and I tore it off.
Wow. So it wasn't a bad rattle. I mean,
it's gone. It's complete. Yeah. No, it was super annoying.
Well, low tolerance because it had a very narrow.
Right. Well, it was a thick business. I run a thick business card, my friend.
Ah.
Yeah. Not to brag, but I stuffed it in there and I tore it off.
I can relate. My business is always thick.
Exactly, quite thick. So and you kind of, if you look carefully, you can see there's like a little like fringe of like
torn. You can see it. That would drive me
sticking out. But it's on the passenger side thing. If it was on the driver's side, I'd be staring at it all the time.
Did I hit a little close to home when I brought that up?
It did.
No, but usually it's the windshield, right? They jam it between the dash and the windshield. You see all these pieces of cardboard. That's an indicator something's going to rattle.
Yeah, because a lot of times there's that little strip. So many. I feel like we could sit here and like come up with other random annoying noises. We'll have to do. Should we do a smell edition one day? Automotive smell.
There's some really good ones out there.
There's some really bad ones.
Yeah, there are. I like the crayons. When you think you're
doing a burnout and then you smell clutch and you just want to put a revolver in your mouth.
I thought we were talking about like inherent smells, like the Volkswagen crayons, which I love. The Blanc VR4 has a very distinct smell.
It does. Yeah, old Mopars have their own smell. They're distinct from all the old
Chevy pickups, all pickups when they had vinyl interiors.
Yes, vinyl on vinyl, just baking in the California sun.
Nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. So bear with me. We've got a quiz game to play.
I think I need to quiz you, my friend.
You're gonna come at me? You coming at me, bro?
I'm at you, bro, with a half load.
All right. Well, let me close my little laptop here, so we can play this straight. And for those who have not listened here while you cue this up, we're gonna play. I'd like to play a game. And the game we're gonna play is it's still technically unnamed.
God, yeah!
After we're 30-something episodes in and we haven't come up with a cohesive name, we're calling it our print ad quiz until we come up with something, or more aptly, until you, handy-dandy listener, come up with something better.
Yes.
What happens is, in this instance, Chadwick is going to discover a piece of print ad copy from the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s. From a magazine, an advertisement for an automobile. He will redact out all of the pertinent information. That's going to be the model, anything super givey away as to what it might be. And I get 3 guesses to determine what the make and model and at least close to the year of what this might be for.
Yeah.
I can get hints if I choose to have them between failed guesses. And that's pretty much it. So without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Chadwick here.
All right, this one is going to be a little, I don't know. You're either going to nail it or it's going to be a little tricky.
Okay.
It's a fun one. It fits in our category of things. It fits with our theme, our general theme of how we are about cars. So,
Okay. Okay.
Without further ado, I described the ad for you. So we've got probably in the upper third a picture of this vehicle, red, going around a pretty sharp corner.
Okay, red, sharp corner.
Okay. The major tagline at the top says, high performance praise, full throttle accolades.
Ooh.
So we got some sick lyrics being dropped.
Accolades.
These are all going to be quotes from magazines, but they are going to contain some very detailed specs, performance specs for you. So it's kind of cool how the format of this ad is why I picked this.
Yes, taking mental notes.
Okay, this blank is terrific. It is a fast car, both confident and athletic. It is also a refined car, both quiet and composed.
Okay.
And it sure doesn't cost much, does it?
Oh.
Automobile Magazine. I won't give you the year.
Okay.
The next one, blanks. 3.4 liter, 4-cam V8.
Oh.
A marvel of compactness and smoothness. Makes 235 brake horsepower with little strain. Just a little.
Just a wheel.
That was from Road and Track.
Road and Track. 3.4 V8 4K. Okay.
Ready for some more specs?
I'm ready.
The 235 horsepower. Lost one. They got it. They got it.
Horses out of the barn.
They got it after the other guys beat the crap out of it.
That one is blue.
235 horsepower V8 engine has a healthy snarl, and its power is concentrated where it's needed. I don't know what that means.
At idle.
Me no photojournalist, but yeah, right. In reverse. Refinement and sportiness at a fair price. That's Car and Driver, folks. Okay. Back road passing is never a concern, and escaping the truck races on the interstate takes just a touch of the toe. That's Auto Week.
A touch of the toe.
So it can be driven with one toe.
Thank you, John Davis.
You get not enough gauges. You get the fun of a high-performance sports machine without sacrificing room for the kids. That's kind of useful.
Yep.
That's USA Today coming in with the.
I always look to USA Today for my hot takes on automobiles.
On everything.
Yeah.
So blank, and that's all I can say. Frank, what are we talking about today? You got some good specs there, buddy. You got some.
There's
cool
not
stuff.
a ton of specs, so it's got room for the kids. So I'm going to go out on a limb and assume it has 4 doors. It has refinement, quote unquote. It's a nice place to be at a fair price, isn't it? Quad cam V8, 3.4 liters, 235 horsepower. I've got one in my head that checks all of those boxes. I think. I feel pretty strongly it's a 3.4 V8. It could be something different. Compact, it is. But I can think of almost zero other 3.4 V8. I'm going to go with the circa 1998 Ford Taurus SHO. That would be the super high output, and that would be the V8 with the 4-cam or twin cam heads via Yamaha Motors, who we were talking about. And we did talk about Yamaha and their head game, if you will.
Magic head.
Exactly. And so that's my final answer, Bob.
They know how to massage a head.
They do. They twerk it.
So you're saying the V8 show, which isn't the popular show, by the way. But
no,
this Taurus show is terrific.
Hey!
That's the one, baby.
Yeah, I mean, can you think of another 3.4 V8?
Not at that time, because it really...
At any time. I mean, there might be some weird, obscure... Because what? That would be like just over 200 cubic inches?
Barely, yeah.
So I can't even think of any weird, like, obscure, like, 70s Malaise era smog.
I just want to say they've added 2 cylinders, 0.4 liters of displacement, and they only made 15 more horsepower than the V6 show.
Correct.
That's all I'm going to say. Which is
Did you consider the compactness?
Here you go, baby.
And it does make all the power up. Yeah, look,
it's an awesome ad. It's I love the magazine. They didn't write their own ad. They just took magazine excerpts that kind of.
Okay, that is all that is, huh?
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
You don't sacrifice room for the kids either.
So yeah, it had some. So you get some hints about the size of the car, what kind of car it is. You also get a lot of specs about the engine, which is cool.
Yes.
So I thought it was a pretty effective ad, to tell you the truth. And it's a cool car, although this V8 is not as reliable as the V6. I know it has.
Yeah, those ones, wasn't it? They had like the cam sprockets were like spot welded to the end of the cams.
Yeah, there
and
were
the welds would fail, and then it would motor would decide to eat itself. Like you'd get like a dozen miles of like top end rattle to let you know it's about to give up the ghost, and then it would be cam stop spinning and pistons meet valves and.
Yeah, and aesthetically, I don't think the V8 didn't look as good. I know they tried to do some intake runner.
Pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, they did some cool things. Want the original, the 3-liter V6.
And the rest of the car, I mean, I think it's actually aged, in retrospect, it's aged okay.
I like the original show so much better.
It's inarguably a better car in all respects. What's interesting is, so when I was in high school, my high school auto shop teacher had one of these SHOs. And shortly after I graduated, apparently something happened where one of the students jumped the car, but he flip-flopped the polarity on the jumper box.
That's
and
great.
Smoked the electronics in the car. So what they did was, because it was effectively became a parts car, they were able to get it like an ECU unit to get it running again. But all the body control stuff was dead on it. So what they did was they made it into a Lemons car.
Oh boy.
And so the kids turned it into, they put a cage in it, and they put these like some ridiculous exhaust on it stuff, and they ran it at 24-hour Lemons, and they were I think first and only recipients of the Super Ultra Cheater Award, because they deemed that like the car was like way too nice. I guess it's like a NASCAR because of like the high revving twin cam V8.
Sure.
And like this was early. This would have been early 24-hour Lemons. This would have been like 2004, 2005, when like they were a little bit more, I don't want to say strict with the $500 rule, but kind of.
They were running Tercels.
It was Tercels with a bad hole and all kinds of stuff. So, pretty interesting deal. That SHO, I can't remember the last time I've seen one.
Yeah, it's been a while. I thought I'd bring it up because we talk about the show quite a bit, and there's the V8 version we never talk about. So it's kind of cool to give it. I think it's cool. I agree. If it was all-wheel drive, I think it would be a longer-lasting car. But the fact, something about V8s and front-wheel drive always rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm not anti-front-wheel drive. It's just something about a big lumpy V8 sitting over the front-wheel drive. This thing's weight ratio has to be like 68 to 32.
You think? I mean, it's a pretty small V8. I imagine there's probably a lot of aluminum used in it, but still, like, it's not. That's also the rest of that chassis is not particularly sporty.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think there's a dead axle in the back? I don't know.
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably.
Maybe. Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know. It's an interesting deal. So, good car, fun car. You're right. It is like right in our wheelhouse of like
cool car, right?
Weird stuff that's cool, but nobody cares about.
My life story.
There's like 7 people that care about. That don't care.
No, there's some people out there.
React, Taurus Nation. So should we do some hard drugs? Do we have?
Speaking of silly questions,
do we have some PCP to do? Do we have
more PCP than I know what to do with?
Yeah, I think we effectively have. Like on Amazon, you can set like a thing to like auto order like once a month, or once a week, or once an hour, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I think we have that with PCP. Like it just shows up, so we never run out.
My delivery guy's cool, man.
Yeah.
So PCP is Project Car Progress.
It is
our own sometimes forward movement and getting work done on our cars.
Oh boy, yeah,
usually
rarely.
not.
Yeah, usually it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Sometimes progress, mostly not.
Right.
Project Car Progress. What do you got for us, Frank? What have you been working on the past week?
So I did make a little bit of progress.
Ooh.
I got rid of a car.
That's hard to do in our circle, isn't it?
It is hard to do.
The circle of car hoarding.
So I managed, against all odds, to rid myself of a vehicle. The Suzuki.
Yeah, where's the applause?
Oh yeah, is it this one? Oh, that is the applause. So I did manage to get rid of a vehicle. The $700 Suzuki Grand Vitara has moved on to greener pastures. Maybe it was last episode, maybe it was one before that.
So short,
but I was able to get it to pass smog. I drove it around. I probably only put 250 miles total on it, I think.
Wow.
And most of that was me trying to set monitors to get it past smog. So I did oxygen sensors, all that. They said it passed smog. Great. So I put it on Facebook Marketplace, as one does.
Such a fun place.
I figured in my head, I was like, I'm in it a total of about $1,400, including like everything. $700 for the car. Somehow registration was pretty. I paid like $100 to get a register. I don't know how that happened.
Wow.
Because the tags were a year out. They gave me a new sticker, and I don't know. That makes no sense.
Yeah,
but I wasn't complaining. It was like $98, and they're like, "Here's your sticker." I'm like, "Okay, bye," and I just like flew the coop.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was gonna have to pay $200 like a year back and a year ahead.
Yeah, usually.
So and then $300, $350 in parts, tank of gas. So I was in it. New wipers. I put wipers on it.
Oh, good move, man. Power move.
Yeah. So I figured, okay, I'm in at like $1,400. I'll put it on Marketplace for $3,500, hoping to get at least 28. If it's out for a minute, somebody gave me 25. I'm like, okay, fine, that's beer money. I'll do that and get out from under it. It's enough for my time and efforts and all that. So I had it. I had some people come and see it, and then like, oh, it's exactly what I want. I got to go. I get paid on Friday, the classic. I get paid on Friday. I'll come see it again this weekend, and I'll come by, and then they turn into a ghost.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, that went back and forth a couple of times. Some lowball offers, like I'll give you $1,500 cash. Like I was gonna accept, like I was gonna accept like bags of sand, or, or human flesh,
golden doubloons,
pints of goat blood or something in lieu of cash for purchasing the vehicle.
I've done some pretty good goat blood deals though. Just to be
the GBDs are usually pretty solid, but with the fall of crypto, I'm not sure on goat blood futures.
Goat blood is pretty stable, man. It's a pretty safe investment. It's a long-term yield, but
it is. Yeah, refined goat blood. So in lieu of sanguid payments, I ended up doing. I had this gal reach out to me. She's like, "Hey, I'm in Napa. I'm looking for. This is what I want. I'm looking for one of these. Do you still have it? Will you hold it to me for a day?" At that time, I was like, I've got a guy that's supposed to come meet it in like an hour. I'll let you know. And he's supposed to text me when he's on the road.
And that wasn't
he never
BS.
texted me.
That's usually a BS line.
No, there wasn't. This was one guy who had seen the car already. We agreed to 28, and then he was going to come buy the car. He was going to text me because I was camping. I came back. I said, "Hey, I'll be back in town at like noon, early afternoon. I'll text you when I'm back in town." So I text him. And then she sent me a message like right as I texted the guy. I'm like, "Hey, I'm meeting a guy in an hour. If he no-shows me, I'll let you know." She's like, "Okay, thanks." So guy no-shows me. So I sent her a message. "Hey, blah, 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 blah." Long story short, she comes down. It's going to be her first car ever. She's French, like heavy French accent. She's in her early 20s. She works at a winery up in Napa. She came down with her early 20s-year-old roommate who's from Italy. And she works at a different winery.
I've seen that movie, man.
Yeah, there was no split roasting to be had.
Did you iPhone
No.
Sorry. No. Well, that was applicable because it was French.
It is.
That was contextually sound.
It is. There were no cannolis involved. Holy cannoli. So she came down. She was like, "Hey," she was like, "I have $700 in cash, and like half of it was like tip money."
Can you do this in a French accent, please?
Oh, I can't do a French accent.
Hello.
That was bad.
I'm here for the Suzuki.
Yes. And of course, she was like literally got out of the car and was like smoking, like immediately started smoking while we're walking around the car.
Suzuki at Trivian.
She was super nice. She was really excited. She's like, "I love the car. It's exactly what I want."
Yeah.
I'm like, "The stereo doesn't work." She's like, "Great. I don't care. I never listen to the stereo while I drive." I don't know if it's a French thing. I don't know.
Jesus.
And so whatever. So long story short, she was like, "Okay, I have $700 in cash, and like half of it was in like 5s and 10s because like it was like tip money from like at the
strip club,
just the tip money from the winery." But she's like, "I have $700 in cash, and the rest I can like send you via like Venmo or Zelle." And I'm like, ugh. A little bit skeeved out on that, but like I think a lot of that it's more sketchy if you're the sender, not the receiver. As long as like you can confirm it goes through, because you can't. It's not like PayPal where you can like call them up and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna dispute this."
It's
like,
a literal transfer of cash.
Yeah, but it's also a little bit sketchy because like, what if she just like hacks someone else's account and then like she sends it from some hacked account and then there's like straight fraud element. But she seemed like they seemed legit. It was I bet
they seemed legit.
Right. So long story short is couldn't get the Zelle thing. She's like, "Oh, I have a cap on my account of like $1,900, so the math wasn't going to work out." But she was just going to pay me asking price. She's like, "This is great. I love it. This is a perfect car. We took it on a quick drive." So then she's like, "Can you please just like hold it till Wednesday?" This was on a Monday. I said, "Sure." Long story short, she came by, gave me all the cash, a stack of like 20s and 10s. I had spent like 10 minutes counting them all out.
Yeah.
She came with some other French roommates, the whole gaggle of them got out of the car. Yeah, the car looks great. I'm like, okay, thanks. And she was super happy and drove off in the sunset. I filled up the tank. She gave me asking price, so I gave her a full tank. I was like, so yeah, I've already replaced it. I picked up a 2001 Chevrolet Suburban 1500 Z71 package truck.
Okay, your tow rig. That
is going to be the tow rig we've been talking about since I think like literally episode numero uno. I got it for $2,800. It runs fantastically. It's not perfect. It needs a driver's side window is stuck down like a quarter of an inch. I don't know if it's the switch or the regulator. Haven't got it anyway. And there's some other things, but I think I'll tease that the rest of it for next week. But as we said before, one step forward, two steps back. That's kind of where I am because I got rid of the Grand Vitara. 35, partly that $2,800 of it into this thing.
Just keep rolling that cash.
And we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it later. So we're gonna. They call that a tease.
Yeah.
In the industry, I believe.
Well, I'll do a quick PCP here. I didn't peddle too many cars. I do have a car for sale. Ooh. But really, this past week I did some more Porsche fun. So I did get a bore scope in all the cylinders of this beautiful flat six. No bore score to be seen, my friend.
Oh boy.
As expected. It's
Aurora Borealis?
No, 0 of that. Okay. So 109,000 miles. On the car, so it's definitely going to be past that at this point, and I confirmed it, which just is a good feeling inside. It's the same time when you do a compression test.
Deep inside.
It's stress, right? It's stressful before you do a compression test, but when you find out, you feel so much better or horrible, depending on the outcome.
Yeah, depending on what you find in there.
Yeah, just a little carbon on each piston.
There's like a sheet metal screw in there. You're like,
we'll unsee that real quick. But a little carbon on each piston, pretty normal for wear and tear driving the car. So we'll do that. I did the air oil separator, so I don't have a little puff of smoke on startup anymore, so that was successful. Used a Porsche OEM part. So that's cool. Car runs strong as it always has, so just a little more peace of mind for me to keep the car, or if I ever choose to sell it, I have all the footage of the bore scope going in there, all the video, all the photos. So just like I said, get your cars done like that. Look at the engine. Compression tests are very useful too, so don't be scared of it. You're going to find out. It's better than finding out on the side of the road when your car breaks down, right?
Correct.
So, just don't be scared of these kind of tests.
While you're there.
Yeah, get in there, look at it. It didn't take that long. It was kind of fun to do too. So that's all my PCP. We'll keep it short and sweet this week, but thanks again for stopping by, guys.
Yes,
as always.
Yes, we're marching on into the future. We're past the 6-month mark of doing this now officially. I don't know how far me and Matt don't get along, but thank you for being a part of it. It is truly appreciated. We really do appreciate you guys tuning in. We are collectively at APA Podcast on Instagram. If you want to see something that's poorly updated and has very little to offer, follow along there. Keep listening along on all your favorite podcasting listening things, and on YouTube. If you want to see our sometimes smiling faces, sometimes grimacing faces, sometimes with pain, sometimes with pleasure, find us on the YouTube. That's another Pointless Automotive Podcast. There, Chadwick, where can you be found?
Auto Obsessive Garage, more of a YouTube presence. Check out my crazy build videos where I'm working on projects no one has in the right mind to put this much time into.
Yes.
Every once in a while I'll do a review or something like that. So
there we go. And if you want to see some almost pretty photos of cars that I do, follow me on at what the heck am I? The Photographer's Garage. That's on Instagram and on YouTube. Do all of those things. Keep following along. We very much appreciate it. And until next time.
Take care, guys.